Please subscribe my channel. The morning light fell softly across the apartment, but it did little to warm the chill that had settled in my chest. I didn't hear the alarm go off. I didn't notice the hum of the refrigerator or the faint street noise outside. I was numb, caught somewhere between disbelief and resignation. Her words still echoed in my mind, sharper than any knife. She had chosen someone else. I had let her go, convinced that my heart, bruised and tired, needed to protect itself. The world outside moved on as if nothing had happened, but inside me, everything had shattered. It hadn't been an impulsive decision. I had watched the signs for months, each one subtle, easy to rationalize, until they stacked up so high that denial was impossible. The late nights at work, the sudden obsession with her phone, the way she smiled at messages I would never see. I tried to confront it at first, gently, cautiously. But each time I reached out, she dodged, deflected, or simply changed the subject. I wanted to trust her desperately. I wanted to believe that love could weather this storm. But when she finally admitted that her heart had shifted elsewhere, I had no choice. I let her go. Walking away had been both relief and torment. Relief that I could finally stop questioning every little gesture, every small lie that had seeped between us. Torment because even as my mind told me to leave, a small, stubborn piece of my heart refused to accept the finality of it. Nights became long and hollow. I wandered through our apartment like a ghost, touching objects she had left behind, reading old messages, trying to make sense of what had once seemed unshakable. Her presence lingered in every corner, a constant reminder of what had been stolen from me, not by force but by choice. I tried to focus on myself, on rebuilding, but each attempt was a reminder of her absence. Friends offered advice I wasn't ready to hear. Time heals, they said. You deserve better. But better felt distant, abstract, almost mocking. Each time my phone buzzed, my pulse jumped. Could it be her? Did she regret her decision? Or worse, had she moved on completely, leaving me behind in a life that had suddenly lost its meaning? Weeks passed in this fragile limbo. I returned to work, immersed myself in projects, forced myself into routines that felt mechanical and empty. I smiled, nodded, interacted, but inside I was suspended in a loop of replaying every conversation, every laugh, every touch, trying to decipher the moment when it all had shifted. And then, when I thought I had reached some fragile equilibrium, the first time I saw her again, I didn't recognize the woman standing at the door. Her hair was pulled back differently, her eyes avoided mine, but the guilt etched in every line of her face was unmistakable. My first instinct was to step back, to shield the fragile walls I had built around my heart. But she stepped forward, hesitated, and then spoke. The words were simple, almost painfully so. I never stopped thinking about you. I made a mistake. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I studied her, noticing the subtle changes, the nervous gestures, the way her voice wavered despite the words of certainty she tried to project. Part of me wanted to run, to slam the door and lock the past behind me. Another part, a smaller, desperate part, wanted to hear more, to know why, to understand how someone who had chosen another could suddenly return as if nothing had ever happened. She told me the story carefully, almost rehearsed, like someone afraid that a wrong word might shatter her own carefully constructed explanation. Loneliness, mistakes, desire, fear. She laid it all bare, expecting me to absorb it, forgive it, move on as if our past had been a temporary detour rather than a battleground of trust and betrayal. Each word she spoke, each apology she offered, weighed on me like a scale. Part of me still felt the sting of abandonment, the sharp cut of her absence. Yet, beneath that, a more complicated current stirred, curiosity, confusion, and the faint flicker of old feelings I had buried under layers of hurt. The apartment felt smaller now, confined by the tension that had returned with her presence. I walked to the window, staring out at the city that had continued without pause, trying to make sense of the sudden shift in our story. The familiar hum of traffic, the distant sirens, the occasional shout from the street below, all of it seemed to blur into the background noise of my thoughts. She stood quietly behind me, waiting for any sign that I would respond, that I might allow the possibility of what she sought. I turned slowly, holding her gaze, looking for sincerity, for proof that this wasn't just another moment of fleeting impulse. Her eyes met mine, and for a fraction of a second the past and present collided. Memories I had tried to suppress rose unbidden. The laughter, the intimacy, the quiet evenings we had shared. Yet, the weight of betrayal, the months of silence and separation, anchored me firmly in caution. I could not let emotion override reason, could not allow the allure of familiarity to blind me to the consequences of trust misplaced. She stepped closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. I know I hurt you. I know I chose wrong. But I'm here now. Can we try again? The words hung in the air like smoke, tangible and suffocating. I felt a tightening in my chest, a mixture of anger and longing that I had not anticipated. My mind raced through scenarios, weighing each outcome, each possibility, each risk. Could we rebuild what had been broken? Could love survive a fracture so deep, a choice so absolute? I didn't answer immediately. Silence stretched between us, a battleground of emotion and reason. Her presence was an appeal, but my experience was a cautionary tale I could not ignore. The quiet ache in my chest, the lingering hurt from her absence, demanded respect for what had been lost. I needed clarity, certainty, proof that this wasn't another fleeting chapter in a story of betrayal. And yet, beneath the armor of reason, I could not deny the subtle pull of what had once been, the undeniable chemistry, the comfort of a familiar presence that spoke of nights filled with laughter, mornings with coffee and warmth, shared secrets whispered in quiet corners. Finally I spoke, my voice measured, steady but layered with emotion. "You came back," I said, the words tasting strange and heavy. "Why now? After everything?" She hesitated, and I saw the struggle behind her eyes, the desire to justify, the fear of rejection, the longing for something she had once let slip away. Her answer was simple and yet complex in its implications. I realized too late what I truly lost. I had to come back, even if it meant facing your anger, even if it meant facing the consequences of my choice. I nodded slowly, absorbing the weight of her confession. Part of me wanted to walk away, to reclaim the sense of control I had fought so hard to regain. Another part, quieter, almost imperceptible, wanted to hear more, to explore whether there was a path forward, however narrow, however uncertain. But the decision would not be made lightly. Trust once broken demanded proof, actions, and a willingness to rebuild from the rubble, brick by brick. I stepped back, maintaining space, keeping the balance between curiosity and caution. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioner and the soft rhythm of our breathing. I knew that the coming days would define everything, whether this was a fleeting return or the beginning of a painstaking reconciliation. And as I watched her, standing vulnerable yet determined, I realized that the story was far from over. The past had been written, the mistakes recorded, and now it was up to us to determine whether what remained could be salvaged, whether the heart could truly forgive, and whether love, tested by absence and choice, could endure.